Hey guys, today I have what I think is a pretty huge library haul. Since Game of Thrones took me so long to read, I'm really backed up on the books that I had requested. Most of these are the latest books in a series, so I'm just going to try to sum up the series quickly and give you an idea what it's about if you haven't read it. I actually don't know what the newest books are about. I don't read, the plots or the summaries ahead of time. I just kind of like to go in blind. But the first book is actually manga, and it is the last 3 volumes of Rave Master, which is about Haru Glory, who is very kind of complicated. Since it's like 35 volumes, it's a complicated story, but basically it's about Haru Glory, who goes out to save the world from these evil guys and picks up, friends along the way, as happens in a lot of anime and manga. And yes, I actually haven't read it for a while, so I've kind of forgotten what exactly is happening, but yeah, so I don't have a lot to say about that. Next is The Warlock by Michael Scott, which is the latest book in the Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel series, which is about a set of twins, Sophie and Josh, I believe it is, who were just, working. One worked in a bookstore and one worked at a coffee shop, I think. But then one day, some strange stuff happens, and they find out that they are working for and are friends with Nicholas Flamel from history and his wife. And they end up going on this big adventure and finding out that all these mystical people or historical people are really still alive and really exist, like gods and goddesses and monsters like the Sphinx and these demons, and all this stuff is real. And somehow they are in the middle of this prophecy, and it's their job to save the world from this bad guy John Dee and the people he works for, and there's Machiavelli and all kind of stuff. And I just love stories like that have the mystical elements, and you find out that gods and historical people are really alive and in the world. So yes, I love the series. Next is Girl at Sea by Maureen Johnson, which is not part of a series, but I just recently finished 13 Little Blue Envelopes and The Last Little Blue Envelope, and this was the other book that they had by her at my library, so I just picked it up because I love her so far. And this just seems to be about a girl who goes on vacation with her father, I think, and I'm just assuming that it's going to be very 13 Little Blue Envelopes like, so hopefully I'll like that. Next is The Vampire Diaries, The Return Midnight by L.J. Smith, which is the latest in the Vampire Diaries series, which is also a very good TV show. And the main gist of that is there's a girl named Elena Gilbert who lives in Mystic Falls with her brother and her aunt and her 2 very close friends, Bonnie and Meredith. Is there one more? I think there's Caroline too, but anyway, they find out that vampires are real, and Elena meets Stefan and Damon, who are 2 brothers who came back to Mystic Falls, and they're vampires. And she falls in love with Stefan, and Damon kind of falls in love with her, so there's a whole love triangle going on. And there are werewolves and vampires and demons, and I think there were some ghosts and witches and spells and stuff. So yes, if you are into that whole vampire werewolf thing, I love this series. It's way better than I think some of the other books that are out there. I also am in love with Damon. I really, really am. Do you like Damon or Stefan if you're into the series or the TV show? Let me know. Definitely Damon. And then also I have Stefan's Diaries from the Vampire Diaries, Volumes 1 and 2, Origins and Bloodlust. And I think these are just, obviously Stefan's Diaries from when he first turned into a vampire back in the, I don't know when it was like the 1800s, early 1900s, something like that. So I think this is kind of their journey to, with, oh, what's her name? The vampire that turned them into vampires. I'm blanking on her name. But she looks just like Elena. It's her doppelganger, and both brothers were in love with her back in the day before they were vampires, and she kind of manipulated them and turned them into vampires. So I'm assuming that kind of goes over that whole story. Next is Cryptic Cravings, the latest Vampire Kisses novel by Ellen Shriver. And this is another vampire book. Not the best series, but I figure I'm kind of invested now, so I just keep going with it. It is about a girl named Raven who lives in a small town and is very, very goth and obsessed with vampires, and there's no one else like her in the town. It's all very suburban, straight-laced, whatever. But then she meets a boy named Alexander who moved to town and finds out that him and his family are vampires, which of course makes her day, and she falls in love with him, and she's always kind of deciding whether she wants to be a vampire or not, and getting involved in the whole vampire scene. And it's a cute series. It's not the best, but there's nothing really bad about it. It's just very quick and fun to read, and there's some bad vampires that kind of come, but are not like really, really bad. So yeah, it's a cute series. Then this one's actually mine, not a library book, but the latest in the Sookie Stackhouse Southern Vampire series by Charlaine Harris, Dead Reckoning. And I've had this since May, and I just haven't had a chance to get to it, but I am obsessed with this series. And if you haven't watched True Blood or read the books, it's about a girl named Sookie Stackhouse who works in a small town in Louisiana. She's a waitress at a bar, and vampires have just made themselves known to the world that they exist and have come out of the coffin, as they always say. And she meets Bill Compton, who is a vampire in her town. And once she meets him, she meets all these other vampires, and there are werewolves and witches and demons and all kind of stuff. And of course, for some reason, everything just gets attracted to her, and she's always in the middle of everything, and it's a great series. It's probably my favorite one that I'm reading now. So yes, there's a lot going on by this book. I can't remember how many books came before this, but if I recommended one series to you, it would definitely be that one. And then last is just a random book I picked up at the checkout at my library, and it's I, Monster by Tom Philbin, and it's actually a serial killers in their own chilling words. And I kind of have a serial killer thing where I'm like obsessed with them, mostly about being killed by one. It's like my biggest phobia for some reason. But it's all, true stories about the famous serial killers and letters they've written and interviews they've done and stuff like that. So kind of morbid, but kind of interesting, I think. We'll see. It'll probably freak me out and I won't be able to sleep. But yes, that is my library haul. I'm working through it. Hopefully I'll get to all of them soon, because some of these have been hanging around a while. I've already renewed like the Vampire Diary books like 8 times. So if you've read any of them, have anything to say about any of them, please leave me comments. I'd love to get some. Yeah. So whatever. Comments, questions, anything, opinions, let me know. Bye.